Episode five's opening is, from what I remember, really intense. I believe it is Joyce and Hopper, and they're like going to different locations.
Oh yeah, they're
They
looking
go
for
into different
all the places
locations.
that were bought up by the same people or whatever
Yeah,
to see if
looking
there's like
from the land
Russian
deeds and
base.
everything to see if there's anything there. And so they find one that actually has something. It's here where we're introduced to Alexei. They're like, okay, what are you guys doing? They're not speaking English. Then the freaking Terminator shows up, and then they escape. They meet up with Murray in episode five. Murray is basically set up as someone who can translate what
Oh
Alexei
yeah,
is
because they get
saying.
Alexei, and they're like, we need to like find someone who speaks Russian, and he's the first person who speaks Russian within like miles.
From what I remember, not a lot of crazy stuff until the end happens in episode five. It's a lot of Joyce and Hopper kind of walking around with Alexei, and they steal a car. The Todd father. Okay, so I can't really remember a lot of stuff that happens in episode five, but I got into this about Jonathan. Is that Nancy calls him at the beginning of that episode, and he's like, "I had a late night with Vagan and the gang," and it's like, who like who is Vagan? Like, we never meet any of Jonathan's friends. Like, they have a line in season two where Jonathan's like, being a freak's the best, I'm a freak. Will's like, is that why you don't have any friends? And Jonathan's
Gosh.
like, I have friends. Like, does Stranger Things theory, all you guys who super fans, do you believe Jonathan has friends? Please leave in the
Leave in
comments.
the comments below if you think he has friends.
Oh, I'm freaking forgetting. Steve, Robin, Dustin, and Erica. They get out of the elevator and they're in the Russian base and they're looking around. Very cool part of the season, in my opinion. I know people think that it's very cheesy and
Not
unbelievable, but
cheesy.
I
I love
I
it.
bought it. I loved it so much. So
Good.
that basically sets up that they know that there's Russians under the mall. And near the end of the episode, Steve wins a fight finally,
By the way,
and
I
as
love
Dustin
all these
acknowledges it.
scenes with this group. It's like
Yes, they're
so
like,
good. Everything is like
I
10 out of
love
10.
them. I love their part of the story. The only thing that kind of drags about like the other group with like Mike and Will and Lucas and Eleven and everything is that, like, I feel like the relationship aspect sort of drags it down. I don't hate it, but I'm like, all right,
Come on, guys.
come on, guys,
Communication. Talk about
we
it.
actually talk. But like that group, like Steve, Robin, Dustin, and Erica, that group is so good.
Superb. It's superb.
It's so
Flat
awesome.
out
Like,
good.
I love the
Flat out
Russian, like the
amazing.
Russian base stuff. I don't care if people are like, it's cheesy, it doesn't make sense. I love it.
Steve
It's
wins a
awesome.
fight. Okay, guys. What else
He's
do you want?
cool. What else do you want from this show? By the end of that, for their part of the story, they Dustin and they all see at like the top of like a staircase that they see the gate, and Robin and Erica don't know what it is, but Dustin and Steve do. So they're like, "Oh my gosh, the gate is here!" They're opening it, and so that's basically the end of the Scoops Troop part of that. So then we have a very amazing, intense scene where they're all at the hospital.
Oh yeah,
Like
this is like
the
where
other group is all at the hospital,
intense.
and like so intense. And so
The lady won't let
uh
them through because they're like, oh, one visitor, two
oh my
visitors at a
gosh,
time.
one of my okay, this is such an underrated, I don't even know if it's underrated, but I love this moment. Nancy's like, oh, I'm going to see my grandmother again, and this is my family. And then she looks at Lucas, and he's like, extended.
Extended.
So Jonathan and Nancy, they go to find Driscoll, and they have like they sort of like acknowledge their fight, and they sort of like make up and everything. Then they see that Driscoll's missing. Tom, their boss, he's there, and
He's the dad of the girl who got taken by Billy.
yeah, the dad of Heather. And so he's been flayed, because earlier in this episode is called The Flayed, so they set up that, like, the mind flayer has been flaying
Oh
people,
yeah,
taking
of
over
course.
them. So very intense scene. Tom's there. He's basically there to, I guess, I don't know why he wants Nancy so badly, because like him and the other guy Bruce, they're like, oh, Nancy, I'm here for you, which I don't know why
Probably
they
a
want Nancy so
combination with the
badly.
fact that they are always harassing Nancy, with
Oh
the
yeah,
fact that they're
so
possessed.
yeah, it was just a character thing. So yeah, they just went over there. We have a very intense scene where they're chasing them in the hospital, and again, so brutal. Like, Jonathan's getting kicked and
It's like Mortal
punched, and
Kombat. There's a fatality moment.
it's
I out loud
insane.
said fatality. There's Tom, and then there's the other dude.
And then Bruce, yeah,
Is Bruce the dude with the blonde hair who's like?
yeah.
So they're basically like running from them, and then they get in this room, and they're like beating each other up, and
Oh my gosh, it's so crazy.
and Jonathan takes such a brutal
I
beating.
know, that's what I was saying. Like,
He gets
he he
his back, like
Tom hits him over like his back with a chair. And the first time I watched that, I was like jumping. I was like, oh
I
my
was like, he's
gosh,
gonna die.
it's so brutal. And like I love it for it because it shows that they're like, the show is, you know, willing to go there. They're willing to actually like hurt
Yeah,
their
they have
characters.
balls.
Yeah, and so by the end of that scene, very intense. Nancy like bashes Bruce's face with like a fire extinguisher, and then
Oh
like
yeah,
his face is all jacked up.
so brutally mashed.
And then since
They
you know the mind
melt.
flayer, the flayed are all like connected. Tom kind of feels it, so he backs up. Jonathan stabs him, and then
I thought
Nancy hits
Jonathan
him.
was gonna die.
Same. I
I
was like,
felt the weight. I felt weight a lot in
yeah.
this, even though main characters didn't really die.
Yeah, it gives it similar, like, especially with the ending of the season, which we'll get to soon. But like, it really shows me afterwards where I'm like, this shows that I really do give a crap about these characters.
Exactly.
Which is so good because when a show can do that, and where I could be put back, and I'm like, dang, I actually really love this show.
And they've got your emotions.
So yeah, they melt. Tom and Bruce melt, and they combine into one thing, and it's a monster that's like, you know, what we've seen in the trailer. We didn't know what it was, and it was just so crazy.
Oh, yeah. It was gross because it was like, that's all a human. Like that's a
body
human.
Parts and stuff. You could see like outlines of like their legs and stuff. So weird and gross, but it worked. Cool. So
it ends with like the lights
with the monster like roaring and everything. Yeah, such a good.
Where the lights are off and then it
comes back on and then the monster's roaring. And like it's kind of funny because I remember the first time watching it because I
remember
whenever the episode ended, it played that usual like Stranger Things credits music, and then like it was just like do-do-do-do-do-do, and I was like, don't play that music like that didn't just happen. Like,
don't pretend like that didn't just happen.
I think that's exactly what I said. So next episode starts off with the Scoops troop, and basically the whole thing is that they tell them about the gate. And everybody knows that they're there, so they're kind of like running,
tortured and beat up.
Yeah, so Steve and Dustin tell Robin and Erica about the gate, and then the Russians know that they're there, so they escape. Well, Dustin and Erica end up escaping, but Steve and Robin end up getting captured.
They can't show kids getting tortured.
Getting tortured. They have to show the adults. Steve and Robin are captured.
Who do you work for? We work at where you scoop ice cream for a living.
Whenever he's drugged, it's just like he's like, where do you work? Who do you work for? It's like Scoops. Scoops Ahoy.
When they're drugged, it's so funny.
It's so funny.
Like, what's that shiny little gadget?
What's that shiny little toy? And then he puts it on his finger. He's like, whoa.
It's a combination of comic relief and like, oh shoot.
Like, oh shoot, this is actually happening. There's so many oh shoot moments in this season.
They're gonna be like, oh shoot, they actually just went there.
Also, Mayor Klein, I think in episode 6, they show that like he's talking to the Terminator guy, and he's like, you might need backup because like he got the better of you, and then like they're in like the Gravitron, like the spinning ride, and then he's like pushing him up against the railing, and he's just like, I don't need backup or whatever he said. Basically in episode 6, a lot of like with Mike and Eleven, it's scenes of them trying to find Billy, but Eleven can't track down the Flayed. That's basically what they're dealing with in that episode. We have scenes where Steve and Robin are captured and they're interrogating Steve, and he's getting the crap beat out of him because Steve just has to get beat up in every season. It's not Stranger Things if Steve doesn't get the crap beat out of him. Alexei, Murray, and Hopper and Joyce, they basically find out that what the Russians' plan is really just that they're trying to open the gate to the Upside Down. The reason why they're in Hawkins is because like they couldn't open the gate in Russia, and like, you know, the location was the problem.
Because it's already been open, so now they can open it in Hawkins.
Yeah. So this episode has one of the craziest openings. I know we're kind of moved past that, but like it has such a crazy opening with like 11 like
we
monster.
Forgot to tell how that happens.
We forgot to.
Isn't this another scene where Will's like using his spider sense?
Oh yeah, like before they go upstairs, he's like, he's here.
My Uber Eats.
Will's Uber Eats.
But
Will as Uber Eats confirmed.
Will's Uber Eats.
Yeah, Jonathan's trying to break down the door, and then the monster is like on top of Nancy, and then the door flies open.
Oh,
and
11's
it's 11.
Such a sick mode.
They make 11.
She's such a beast in this season.
11 goes sicko mode. Joyce and Hopper find out about what the Russians are doing. We already said that, but that's basically what they're doing in this episode. Steve and Robin get drugged. Very funny material with them just being drugged and talking to each other. And another thing that's set up, which we were going to get kind of rants about this once we get to the next episode, episode 7. In this episode, before they get drugged, they're on the floor, and Steve and Robin starts like laughing, and Steve's like, oh, don't cry and everything. She starts going on about them in school, and she's like, I sat behind you like every day for like a year. Even though you were a jerk, I was still obsessed with you. Yeah, Steve and Robin are drugged. And so afterwards, again, they play off each other so well. It was just so funny to see. And one thing that was funny whenever they're drugged with, I guess it's just truth serum, but like it seems a little bit too strong for truth serum. So I love the way this guy, the Russian guy who's talking to them, I love the way he says stuff. Like whenever he sees them on the floor, he's like, where were you two going? And then whenever they're like, does anybody know about this? And Steve's like, Dustin Henderson. He goes, Dustin Henderson.
People know you're here.
Who knows we are here, Suka?
Well, Dustin, man.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah, Dustin Henderson.
Steve!
Dustin Henderson.
We have a very funny scene with Dustin and Erica, and where Dustin's really calling her out. He's like, "You're a nerd." And he's like,
My Little Pony.
You like My Little Pony and everything. He's like, let's recall the pony's latest adventures, shall we? And then he just like recaps like I guess the latest My Little Pony episode. And she's like, how do you know so much about My Little Pony? It's like, I am a nerd. It's self-proclaimed. He's proud of it. So
if you're a nerd,
Dustin's
be proud. That's the message.
If you're a nerd, be proud. I'm a freaking nerd for Stranger Things, and I'm proud.
Wow, I'm proud.
I'm proud of it. Who cares?
That's why we made this channel.
That's why we made this channel. We have videos where we talk about Harry Potter and Star Wars and now Stranger Things for like an hour. So we're nerds and we don't care.
Yes, we're unashamed. If you're gonna be a nerd, you might as well just be like, freak it, dude.
Freak it, I'm a nerd. By the end of this episode, I believe, Dustin frees Steve and Robin, which another thing that sort of leads up to like season 4 theories. Whenever Dustin and Erica are kind of wandering around, Erica sees a cage and she's like, how big did you say that Demogorgon was? And I was like, it's definitely
setting
season 4 material. Towards the end of episode 6, 11 is in Billy's mind. She sees him in like the void and she's like, I want to see what happened. And then she sees like his memories of like his abusive father and everything. Then 11 finds the source and like it's like in the eye of like the mind flayer storm and everything with very cool visual.
This scene was done so I loved seeing
it. Was so awesome. Another thing, like Billy, which we haven't really talked about Billy as a character, but I didn't really like Billy in season 2 just because he didn't really do much. He was sort of there just to fight Steve, really, in season 2. Like he was like, just sort of there to bother Steve. They didn't really do anything with him in season 2, and I was pretty satisfied with what they did with him in season 3. 11 finds the source. They find out that the source of the Flayed is like Brimborn, I think I probably got the name wrong, but whatever, the Steelworks. Then they know where the Flayed are. They know where they are. So then 11 tries to exit like the void, and then it turns out that
she thinks she exits the void.
Yeah, but she's still in it.
Yeah.
And Billy shows up in like her mind, and then he basically gives her this whole speech, very good speech.
It's like, you're the only thing in our way, and we're gonna hunt you down and kill you.
We're gonna like kill you, and then we're gonna kill your friends and everything. One thing I thought was a really nice attention to detail. Dacre Montgomery, who plays Billy, he said that he played Billy whenever he was like flayed. Like he said that like the way he showed that Billy was still in there was through his eyes. If you notice in that scene, whenever he's like, we're going to end you, we're going to end your friends, and then we're going to end everyone. If you notice in that scene, whenever he says everyone, a tear goes down his eye. And it's like, and it's sort of a thing where it's like Billy's still in there. He's crying because it's sort of like in season 2, whenever Will is using Morse code, that was their way of showing that he's still in there. And Dacre Montgomery was saying like, I showed that Billy was still in there in some way through his eyes. Very nice attention to detail. So the Flayed know where 11 is, where everybody is, and so we have a scene where like all the people are melting and the mind flayer is getting huge and everything.
And it's playing like a specific song, but like the music is so like shooty.
Yeah. It's such a oh shooty track.
It's an oh shoot moment.
It ends with the mind flayer breaking out of the steelworks and it's huge and everything. So episode 7, The Bite. Basically, it's 4th of July. Mayor Klein is having like this big 4th of July festival. Mike's mom and dad and sister are on the Ferris wheel, and then Mike. I thought this was a very cool, like almost like a oh shooty moment. She's like, the trees are moving, and I was like, and they, again another
not the trees.
another song on the season 3 soundtrack. The trees are moving. The trees are moving theme song, and then 11
She tells
is
everyone.
explaining that
Yeah.
what Billy was telling her, that he's gonna kill all of them before killing everybody else and everything. Then we have a very intense scene
They
where
know that they're at the cabin.
and then they go out of
find
the
out.
cabin, and then they see that the giant mind flayer thing is like storming towards them, which
Yeah.
is such a creepy image. Just seeing that giant thing just storming through the woods
Yeah,
at
like
you.
imagine
That's so
what
creepy.
you do. What do you do?
What would you do in real life if you walked out and you saw that running towards you, and it's huge, and it's just
Run towards the
knocking down
carnival and
trees.
hide. I don't know.
It attacks the cabin. Very awesome, very intense scene. Eleven's getting to use her powers, and she's like splitting apart the tentacle things. And then it like breaks open the roof, and then she gets picked up by it, and then they're all dragging her. Nancy starts shooting, and it's not doing anything. And then like Lucas gets the axe, and he starts like hitting it, and then he breaks it. And it turns out that 11 got like bit by one of the things. Mike rips it off, and she's like screaming and everything. All while this is happening, Steve and Robin are drugged, and Dustin and Eric are like trying to get them out of the base, and they do, but they see that like there are Russians like at the exit, so like they have to run back into the wall, and then they go into the movie theater, and Back to the Future is playing, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh
this
my
is so
god,
good because they're like
whenever I saw
drugged,
that it was
and
playing,
they're like, you guys don't move, and everyone's
oh
like,
yeah,
shh.
I love
I thought it was so cool how they had parts of the movie.
Yes,
Like
I
it's
love
just such a
that.
good like throwback. And then they had
And it's so funny to think about. That is literally in the show, because that's 4th of July. That's the day after the movie came out. So like that's
Really?
like, yeah,
Oh,
Back to the Future came out on July 3rd.
that's
So
why it
that's
was
like,
packed.
yeah, that's exactly why it would have been packed. And that's like, it's just funny to see that like in that show, like people experiencing it for the first time and everything. For those of you who don't know, I'm a massive Back to the Future fan. It's
nerds.
probably my favorite movie of all time, because we are
It's such a good
nerds.
movie though.
It's so amazing. We need
It's
to
a good
review
movie.
that
It's
trilogy. So Dustin
can
leaves the
survive a
theater to try to get in contact with Mike and 11 and everybody, which like again, I just love that Back to the Future is playing as they're talking.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just so
And
so
then
awesome.
when they do it, when they're having a scene where he's like on the walkie-talkie,
Oh
and
yeah,
he says
okay,
something
I'm gonna
interesting, and it has the music from Back to the Future playing, and it's like the really like hype music from.
I'm
I
gonna
was
get
like,
yeah.
oh my gosh.
All while this is happening, Hopper and Joyce and Murray and Alexi, they're at the carnival. There's so much that happens in between, but I'm just gonna get to the point. Murray and Alexi, they decide to leave the car, and Alexi, he's having so much fun at the carnival.
Oh my
He's
gosh.
winning the balloon game, where you throw the darts and everything.
Yes,
And
he
then
was
like
because Murray was like, it's rigged.
he's like winning the game, and everybody's like, there's like a crowd surrounding him, and like,
Oh
you
yeah, all
can
the kids
do
are
it.
like, you can do it, and
You
he's
do it.
just like,
And then
I don't understand you, but I can do it.
and then he throws the dart, and then he's like, it's kind of
And he
funny when he
wins
throws
the-
the dart.
the-
He starts like jumping around, and he's like so happy.
Oh my gosh,
And
he
then
wins the
the Woody
Woodpecker
Woodpecker. Yeah, Woody
Joey was
Woodpecker.
watching.
And then he sees Murray, and he's like, it's not rigged. And then freaking Terminator. he
No,
comes
this
and
was so.
and
So
then
he literally shoots him in the
Mm.
middle of a carnival.
I know.
It's silence, but it's like no
But
one
still,
notices that he's
no
bleeding.
one saw that this big dude had like was holding a gun. Like what? He shoots Alexi, and it's surprising how like sad
'Cause
it is,
whenever
because
he
like we don't
dies
know
and
this
stuff,
character.
his face when he was
Ah.
so happy before he died gets me.
When that happens, Hopper, there's like stuff that happens in between, but basically
I
the
got
Terminator
Alexi,
is there.
I got
I don't even know the guy's name. I'm just I just
I
keep
don't.
calling
I don't
him the
even think he
Terminator.
has a name. We're gonna call him the Terminator.
The Terminator. Hopper, he fights like some Russian guy in like a fun house. We get a very cool like House
Oh,
of
yeah.
Mirrors scene.
I love how Hopper's actually winning a fight here because he always gets beat up in this season.
Oh yeah.
Whenever he shot Terminator Man a bunch of times, I started cheering. I was like, "Screw you! That's for
Yes, he's dead.
Alexi!" And then
Yeah,
I
yeah.
forgot he doesn't die at that scene,
Oh yeah.
which is stupid because I
yeah.
remember he's in the later parts. But
Yeah.
and then he gets back up and I'm like, "No!"
No. Basically, Hopper shoots that guy a bunch of times. He has a bulletproof vest on. Surprise! I was laughing so hard when I first watched that, because I was like, nothing is killing this guy. I
Dude,
was
this
like,
guy is
this guy is
literally, like-
indestructible. Hopper and Murray and Joyce escape. It's very like Hopper gets in the car. He's like, and Alexi. and they kind of look at each other, and it's like,
He's
oh my
actually sad
God.
about it because he was like
I
triggered with
know.
Lexi earlier, but now he's like sad about him, which is cool.
That's basically the story for Copper and Joyce and Murray. So we go
Yeah.
back to Mike and Eleven and everybody else, and they're at the store. I thought it was funny or
They just
cool.
break in. They're like,
Not like
screw it.
yeah, that I thought it was a nice like return to like our season 1 callback because that's the store that Eleven stole the Eggos in season 1.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Uh,
Surprising lack of Eggos in this season has made me very upset.
I hate this season because 11 wasn't obsessed with Eggos. Basically, they're trying to like patch up 11's leg because it's cut open. We have a really. I like this scene between Mike and 11 where they're
they
talking.
sort of make up.
They sort of make up, and he's like, I'm sorry, what I was doing is wrong, and it feels sort of natural, you know.
Pretty awkward, but it's
it is awkward, but it's funny. He's like, it's like you know what they say.
Crush,
you know what they say about like blank makes you crazy, and he's like, old people say it to each other. It's
Oh
just
my
like
God.
it's just
It's
so
like you can't just say it.
Okay, before that, Max tells Lucas to get a bowl and like a towel, and so Lucas and Will go off
Just
into the
go get
store to try to find it,
fireworks.
and they're looking at the cereal aisle, and they're like, what else do you use a bowl for?
What? Honestly, I don't know. It's funny because they're like, it's showing
They're
how
like,
they're
I don't
dudes who
know.
haven't ever been shopping to this place.
I know, and I just love Will's like total cluelessness here. It's like bowl. Where's the bowl? It's like I don't.
Soup.
It's like I don't know. What do you use a bowl for? I don't know.
Soup,
and then
cereal. That's it.
soup and cereal. Then they see
Mac
the
and cheese.
fireworks, and then they go over there. Oh, this is related, but just like nothing to do with the show. Is that my brother? He occasionally will sit in on me watching the show. Like whenever I was rewatching these last couple episodes, he was there at least for like most of episode 7. Whenever they find the fireworks, and then he's like, you ever shot one of these suckers? He's like, Will's like, no. Is it sweet? And like my brother was like, my brother just like, no. Is it cash money?
Dude, imagine if they totally broke your 80s immersion.
Oh my god,
Is it
just
cash money? And they dabbed, and it was just like the show just
bruh, is it
took a
cash
dive.
money?
The show just died. No, I'm kidding.
It says that the fireworks, which friggin' Max doubted, which ended up saving them in the end.
Oh yeah.
And so then we return to Mike and 11. That scene, the blank makes you crazy. Again, this season's soundtrack is probably my favorite. It's so good.
They keep getting better.
Yeah, the blank makes you crazy song, because that's another song title, is one of my favorites, along with like destroying the castle. I'm just
Is it
nerding out
called
about the
Love
soundtrack now.
Makes You Crazy or Blank Makes You Crazy?
Blank makes you crazy.
Oh my gosh.
So as they're talking, you hear something on the walkie-talkie, and it's freaking Dustin. And like you were saying earlier, the Back to the Future music that's playing is so it made me
so perfect.
It's so hype.
Goosebumps. I got
It's just like
goosebumps.
it's such a Back to the Future moment too. Like I love how Dustin's like rushing to tell everybody. He's like, I know I've been MIA. It wasn't because I was mad. Well, actually, I was mad. Like,
And they
he's
can't
like-
hear a
he's like,
word he's saying.
Yeah, he's like, the Russians have infiltrated Hawkins. The gosh dang Russians! It's just the way he says that.
He's just like going off and they can't hear a word he's saying.
And again, such a Back to the Future moment whenever the battery's low and he goes, not now, please not now. That is such a Back to the Future moment. Whenever the DeLorean won't start, Marty's
Exactly.
like, no, please not now. So awesome.
No. Dude, they nailed the references.
They can't hear him. They decide to go to the Starcourt Mall. And so they take the fireworks. I like the scene because Max is like, if anything goes wrong, at least we have Lucas's fireworks. He's like, Max, keep on doubting me. He's like, keep on doubting me and see what happens.
I'm gonna show you.
I love this quick musical cue wherever Dustin goes back and he's like to Erica, he's like, do you have any batteries? And she's like, no. And then he's like,
I don't
why would I
carry
have batteries?
batteries.
How many do you need? He's like, 8. Oh yeah, no. He goes, do you have batteries? Like, why would I have batteries? He's like, I always carry batteries on me. There's like a quick pan from like where Erica and Dustin are sitting to where Steve and Robin used to be sitting, and then they're just not in the seats anymore, and it's like a quick pan from them to those seats, and the Back to the Future music is playing, and it's like dun-dun, 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 and he's like, where are they? And
Oh my
it's so
gosh.
awesome. Okay, so a very funny scene. Steve and Robin are out of our
They're like,
are
I'm
like
pretty sure in
outside.
that
They're like
movie,
yeah,
the mom
they're
is
out of
trying
the
to bang her son.
they're like at the water fountain, and then like it's like, I'm pretty sure that mom was trying to bang her son, and then like I love how Steve calls him Alex P. Keaton. I don't know if you know that reference, which okay, so Michael J. Fox was in a show called Family Ties, which was a very popular sitcom in the 80s before Back to the Future, which interesting thing about Back to the Future. Michael J. Fox, originally, his manager did not want him to be in Back to the Future, so they had another actor be in Back to the Future for the first like 2 weeks of shooting, and then that actor, they had to let him go because like he just wasn't he just wasn't right for the role. And so like they got Michael J. Fox on the project, and he filmed Family Ties, the sitcom, during the day and filmed Back to the Future at night.
Dude,
And so he said that he had virtually no sleep, and like but he loved doing it just because he was so like he loved the project so much. It was really cool to hear. So anyway, he called him Alex B. Keaton because his character is named Alex Keaton in the show. So I just thought that was funny how he called him Alex Keaton. So
that's a good
sitcom reference. Yeah. I thought it was funny because Robin is on drugs and she explains the plot of Back to the Future so perfectly.
Yeah, she's high.
She's like, no, he's in the past, so he has to go back to the future, which is now the present. And then Steve's just like, what? he's so out of it. The ceiling is beautiful, and then very cool visual of like the ceiling getting all like warped and stuff.
It's nothing too serious. They're just two high teenagers that got beat up.
Two high teenagers. Then they start throwing up, and then later on they have Robin's coming out scene, which we're kind of, it's pretty late, so I'm not trying to like dwell to try to rant about this for super long. But like, I don't mind Robin being a lesbian because I think I like her character either way. I just thought it was weird because like we were saying early on, like when they're on the roof in like episode 3 or something, like then they get startled. Steve and Robin are holding hands, and it's just like, it's that, and just the thing where she's literally like, I didn't care that you were a jerk. I was still obsessed with you.
Yeah, like, why would you be obsessed with someone?
And she's like, I wasn't obsessed with you because like, it's because like she wouldn't stop staring at you, Tammy Thompson, whatever. I read that Maya Hawke and like other people convinced or like suggested to the Duffer Brothers that she should be a lesbian halfway through the season. I thought that her being a lesbian just seemed out of nowhere, which like I don't hate it because I'm just like, all right, I like the character, it's fine. And I feel like what saved it for me is the scene following, because like what made me kind of like appreciate the scene is how like they're still like friends, I guess.
Yeah,
because they have that scene wherever he's like, she's a total dud. It's like she wants to be a singer, like she wants to go to Nashville. It's like, you sound like a Muppet. It's like she sounds like a Muppet giving birth.
She does not sound like that.
Sounds exactly. That's a great impersonation of her.
You sound like a Muppet.
She sounds like a Muppet. She sounds like a Muppet giving birth. And if you can hold me tight, we'll be holding on forever. Exactly.
Okay. What the hell?
One thing I think is really funny is that when Steve starts singing in the funny voice, on the Netflix subtitles, it literally says Steve in Kermit voice.
Oh my god. Netflix subtitles are goated.
Then they escape the theater. They see that like the Russians are like at the entrance. They all like go down the escalators. They slide down the middle part, which is really cool.
Which is epic. If you haven't wanted to do that in your life.
I always wanted to do that. I never have. I need to go to tomorrow. I'm going to ask my mom if she can take me to the mall, and I'm going to do that.
Just film yourself.
So then we get a quick thing of like Hopper and Murray and Joyce, and they have like the thing of walkie-talkie. They're getting like a walkie-talkie interference, and he's like, oh, what does this say? And then it's like, we found the children or something like that. So the
Russians
trooper
found the children.
Yeah. So the Scoops troop is hiding.
This
the
is
Russians,
their paths all collide. It's so dope.
The Russians like have their guns and they're pointing at like the counter where they are.
And then you hear the car alarm going off.
The car alarm goes off, and then the car kind of starts to shift.
What's going on?
And then I love that pan up from the car to 11, and you can just see her and the music,
like,
and you can.
Yes,
it's so awesome. I love the music that's playing, and she throws it
and bashes them, and they're all dead.
Oh my gosh, they're all flying across the wall. It's so awesome. And then I love this shot. They all kind of peek over the counter, and then Dustin looks and he sees 11, and then like he sees all of them, and then he just smiles, and it's just so
he's
like,
yes, I knew this one. Because think about it, all the parties, they didn't know that the other parties were doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like they didn't even know about the mind flare. They just knew about the Russians, and they didn't know about the Russians. They just knew about the mind flare, right?
Yeah. So they kind of like recap what's happening
before they move away.
And then 11 is like she kind of falls to the ground. It turns out it's a problem with her leg. And then it ends with Eleven screaming. And then that's the end of episode 7. Episode 8. This is
The finale.
the finale. It is like it's so weird that this is just a season finale. This isn't even the series finale yet. This
It's
totally
such a
could have been.
big-
It has such a big like scope. And it's
9.3
so,
on IMDb.
by the way, we totally skipped over this scene, which I'm just going to quickly recap it. The new Coke commercial scene,
Oh my
which
gosh.
I find it really funny. I know some people that are like, it's so stupid, but like,
It was
it's funny
stupid.
because like, he's like, how could you even drink that? Because it's delicious. And then he's like, it's like John Carpenter's thing. It's like the original, like it's the classic. It's like,
But the new
the
one?
remake, sweeter, bolder, better.
Oh my gosh.
And then
That's
Mike's
such
like,
an ad. That's
and then
like an ad.
How do you even drink that?
Because it's delicious.
What?
It's like Carpenter's The Thing. The original is the classic. No question about it. But the remake? Sweeter, bolder, better.
You're insane.
it's even funnier considering the fact that whenever New Coke came out in the 80s, people boycotted it. Like
People
it was like,
hated it.
yeah, because it tasted weird. It was just a weird taste, and they were like the New Coke, and it was just such a weird marketing.
Like, you're
thing.
you're not replacing our Coke.
It's just so funny to think that like Lucas loved it whenever at the time it was such like a
It
frowned
was like one of
upon
those weird
soda.
people who liked it.
No
I kind
one.
of want to try it.
They
I want
actually
to look it
s-
up. I wonder if I could like unopened
They ha-
Coca-Cola New Coke eBay for $23,000.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yeah, no one. Lucas is fans of the sequel trilogy.
Oh my gosh. Bolder, bigger.
And Mike's like, how could you even say that? So, anyway, getting to episode 8, the Battle of Starcourt.
Starcourt.
The Battle of Hogwarts. I mean. So episode 8 starts off 11. They're having they do this like surgery on 11's leg. Another brutal moment. Like Jonathan has to cut open
With a
11's
searing
leg.
hot freaking knife.
Ugh,
And it
knife.
shows it, and it shows like you can see like there's blood, but then there's also like pus. He was reaching in there, and I was like,
Oh yeah, and he has like gloves, and he reaches in, he kind of
and
shuffles
she was
around it.
screaming.
It was just so like brutal, and it's just
This season
gosh.
has no chill, and I love it.
She rips the little worm thing, or not worm, but little mind flayer piece out of her
Goopy.
leg, and she throws it. And I'm guessing that's
This scene was
when
so
she,
intense. Like it
it
was such a
was.
small like thing, but she was like, ah, and it broke the
Screaming.
glass. It looked so cool when she had it like
It,
she was
I know,
forcing
in
it
the
like on her
air.
hand, and she just threw it, and then Hopper like squishes it, and it just like
Oh my gosh! And it
goopy.
shows Hopper, and then it's another moment of like
Yes.
characters
some
reuniting
oh
again.
shooty
Shooty moment, and it's just like yes, they're together finally. Then the whole cast is together at the mall. I love the imagery of just a vacant mall, just the characters in it. It's all empty, but the lights are still on and everything. It's so colorful too, which I love. Like the season has very good like summer
colors are amazing.
It's so awesome. It's just like I love all the neon colors in the mall with like there's like blue and red, and like it's so funny how like not funny. It's so like crazy how like the colors are used like the advantage. Like it's so like happy
Oh,
and
yeah.
upbeat when you see it earlier in the season, but then
And
it's
it
like
just
it's so
swi- it
menacing and
just
everything whenever
switches.
the mind flayer is there and everything.
Yeah.
It's just so awesome. Okay, so they're at the mall. They basically all come up with a plan. They have a cool moment where the OG party, Mike, Lucas, Dustin, and Will, kind of reunite, and like
yeah, and they're all
they
like,
have that moment, which like
it's like
they
we
all
could
like
have
hug,
used
which
you.
like
We could have used you too.
we could have used you down there. It's like we could have used you up here too, and then they hug. I
like
want more
how-
of that in season 5. I
Yeah.
mean, Will moved away, but I want more of that. I
They
want
can
more of that
visit. They'll
group.
probably reunite at some
Yeah.
point.
That's probably how the plot's gonna kick into motion whenever like Will visits or something. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I love that group together. So yeah, they basically have a plan for Dustin and the Scoops troop to go to the Cerebro to basically guide Marie and Hopper. Well, mainly Murray because he's going to be going to like the ventilation things through the mall. I mean, not through the mall, through the base.
Under the mall.
So they take the Todd father. Steve's like
Steve's
totally
like, oh
hyped.
yes.
It's like Steve's your daddy.
Todd. Oh my gosh.
Did he just talk about himself in the third person? Erica's like, did he just
himself
call himself daddy?
Daddy.
Another thing, small nerdy attention to detail where I was like, is that he's like, where are we going? And Dustin goes, Weathertop. And
yes, I noticed that too.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings. And
Yeah,
so
and they were talking about Mirkwood in the first one and stuff.
yeah, in the first season, Mike has a little moment with Hopper where he's like, Mike, and he's like, be careful, and he kind of like nods at him.
It's like, I don't want to kill you, Mike.
So they're leaving, and then they try to start the car. Which, by the way, have you seen the blooper reel for this season?
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh, you
I
gotta
need
watch
to
that.
see it.
What's wrong? No! Ah! Your mom called. She needs you home right away.
Is everything okay?
No, I don't think so. It's your grandma.
What?
It's your grandma.
Yeah!
No, I don't think so. Such a crazy season.
Okay, ready?
Okay.
You got this.
It's your grandma.
What's wrong with you?
I don't know. It's your grandma. The word is so funny.
I can't do this.
I like that one too.
And so then they go out, and then they see that like the ignition cable is taken out, and then they hear a car rev, and then they look out in the parking lot, and they see Billy in his car. Like I said, I went to the actual mall, and one thing I thought was funny is if we're in that shot where you see Billy's car, if you were to stand where Nancy was standing in reality and looked out at the parking lot, it's kind of funny. You would see like a McDonald's and like a Denny's and like a Sonic and everything. There's another, if you're standing in the parking lot and then you look to your right, there in the show, there's another Starcourt logo on it, but that's literally like a Beauty Master. Like it's like a store where they sell like wedding dresses and stuff, but they like had a Starcourt sign on it. And I just thought that was interesting how they like redecorated everything for the show.
Yeah.
So
attention to detail.
So yeah, Billy's there. They all run back into the mall.
There's a jump scare whenever Nancy comes up.
Oh yeah. So they're all back in the mall, but they're trying to get in
gosh.
contact with the Scoops troop. They find out that they just need to get the ignition cable from the car that 11 flipped over, so they have to figure out how to flip over the car. And so they flip over the car eventually. Hopper, Joyce, and Murray are like, Murray's like in the ventilation.
Figures out she can't use your powers.
Yeah, because she tries to flip over the car and it doesn't work.
It's very
And then
sad.
which I guess after she had taken out the little mind flare piece, I guess that's when she lost her powers.
Yeah, maybe
like,
it's a
that's what
mystery for like the next season.
For the next season, yeah.
Hopefully
I can
there'll
only
be an
guess.
arc where she gets them back, or maybe she gets more powers.
So she pulls out a Coke can out of the trash, and it's a callback to season 1, just trying to crush it, but you can't. And then I thought I was really, I love this scene.
Yeah.
I love this scene where everything starts to shake, and then like Will, like I know he touches his neck all throughout the season, but I thought in this scene it was more of a oh shooty moment than like
oh shooty type moment.
Other than just like oh he did it again, just because of like what was happening. So he touches his neck, and then Jonathan.
It's like, is the mind flare here? Nah, it's just I just got like chills from the ASMR.
Nah, it's just cold.
It's like I'm listening to my ASMR on Spotify, and that's all.
I'm listening to ASMR on YouTube.
I don't know why Will sounds.
I'm listening to Melting Human ASMR.
The jig physics on the mind flare are amazing.
Oh
The mind flare, he only used me
I'm
for
high off
ASMR.
of sleep deprivation.
Me too. Again, him touching his neck in that scene was very like I thought it worked for the suspense. And then
the best
Jonathan
touching
gets
scene.
Jonathan gets the ignition cable, and then just the way Mike's like Nancy, and then everybody looks at the ceiling,
and it starts
like cracking, and then they all run, and then the mind flare drops down, and then it starts roaring, and then it's just so cool.
Joyce asks Hopper on a date, which is sad.
Oh yeah, in that scene, I was immediately like, Hopper's gonna die or Joyce is gonna die, one of them, because I was like, this is exactly like the Captain America like type thing.
Yeah,
where it's like, okay, we're gonna have a date, and I was like, at that point, I was like, one of them's gonna die, aren't they? And then I was like, because there's no way that they're gonna have them be this happy while all this stuff's going on. So I wasn't too sure, but I was like, I hope not, but I feel like one of them's gonna die when I first watched it. Okay, so there's so much that happens between, but basically Mike and 11 and all the other people, they're separated in different points in the mall. The mind flayer is looking around trying to find 11 mainly. I mean, he's
It
gonna
looks
kill all the
so
other
cool.
ones.
Like,
I know it looks movie level.
it's
It just
not
looks so
as
good.
yeah. It's people. I feel like people would be like it's CGI, but it's like yeah, the Demogorgon in the first one was partially like real, like partially
Yeah, it was
practical.
partially
But it's a giant freaking
monster and everything.
You
It's
can't
like,
just make that all out of.
and like I hate it
real-
whenever because like this CGI looks good.
It looks.
And I hate it whenever people are like, that's CGI. But
It's like,
like,
what?
do you know how many people worked on that to make it
You
look
know,
that good? And you're
everything's
just like, it's CGI.
Like
It
you
sucks.
can't just not use CGI.
There's so much that goes into CGI. I know, like, I respect practical work
It's
when
art.
it's done.
It's artwork.
I know, like, I respect practical work when it's done well and everything. But whenever CGI is done as well as it was for a TV show, then I'm like, I respect it even more in a way because I'm like, they did that.
It started out
just,
so small, and now it's like movie level.
The two parts, like, I think it's like Will, Lucas, Jonathan, and Nancy, and then are separated from Max, 11, and Mike. And so, like, Mike, Max, and 11 try to cut through the gap. They knock something over. We have a really cool Jurassic Park type thing.
It's a Jurassic Park type scene, and I love it. It's
yeah,
not even
I
ripped
love it
off.
so
It's
much.
just similar.
Lucas shoots the wrist rocket at the balloon, which again, Return to the Wrist Rocket actually did help them this time. They all escape. Well, freaking Jonathan, Nancy, and Lucas and Will escape, and then Mike, Max, and 11 go through a back entrance, and so or back exit. I thought it was really funny. I just like the image of like flayed zombie Billy going up and taking the ignition cable out and then getting back into his car. Then Nancy goes full, like, Nancy is so like awesome in this scene. She's like, get the car started. She cocks the gun and then she's pointing it. Then she just shoots it, and she's
how does
Billy.
the bullets not hit him?
The bloom sucks.
Oh my gosh.
What are you waving at? What are you waving at?
I'm gonna do a fan dub, and I just take the show and I just dub over Will's lines.
Why couldn't we just play D&D?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
He's
god.
here. He's here.
My
I
Uber
know him.
Eats.
He's at my Uber Eats. He brought me McDonald's.
Billy's about to hit Nancy, and then Steve just boom.
Oh, for a second, I forgot. I was like, how is she not gonna die?
Yeah, when I first watched that, I was like, "There's no way Nancy's just dead." I was like,
Yeah, there's no way
and
she
then
just dies to a car.
And then Steve is just boom, just hits Billy with the car. How did they not see Steve come from the side of the parking lot?
Because the Force.
Because the Force, Steve is force. Steve is force sensitive. Nancy, I need to tell you something.
Never gets explained.
Oh my
No,
god.
Steve is gonna be force sensitive, bro.
So then they all go in Nancy's mom's car, and then the giant mind flayer is chasing them. Then we cut to a new location, Utah, and then we get shots of a bedroom. We see Dustin's hat, and then we see a girl reading a book, and it's freaking Susie. And basically, we kind of skipped over this, but the reason why Dustin is calling Susie is because they need to enter. Hopper needs to enter Planck's constant to get like the keys to destroy the machine, but he doesn't know. Or Murray thought he knew Planck's constant, but it was wrong. He calls Susie, and then Susie, he's kind of explaining it to her. One thing that kind of Dusty fun, and Erica's like, Dusty. One thing that kind of not bothered me, Susie's like triggered that like Dusty. She's like, I haven't heard from you in a week, but my boy Dustin was out on this hilltop calling her for hours, all day. Like, don't act like he was
like,
trying to get in contact with you. But anyway, so she's like, I want to hear it. Not right now. Yes, now Dusty Bun. It's like, Susie Poo, this is urgent. And then he's like, okay.
Yes, you're saving the world.
And then turn around.
Oh my god.
Look at what you see.
The part where they're mocking him at the end is so funny.
It's so funny.
I was
and like,
dying. But
so
they start singing
Never Ending Story, just the theme song for the movie. And like, okay, when I first saw this, I was like, that's dumb. But no lie, the second time I watched it, I was like, I love this.
Goosebumps.
I don't know what changed. I don't know what changed. I was just like, I love this. Reach the stars. And it's just such a funny, like, out of nowhere, but just funny moment. And like, everybody's reactions. Like,
I love what Murray's probably like, what the freak?
And I love whenever you see Hopper's reaction, you can see Joyce like putting her like head against a wall. She's like, so like,
what is is even happening?
I really love the never-ending story scene now. It's just such a quick, fun moment.
Yeah.
It was just fun. So then they get Plank's
Fun,
concert. They have the
stupid, or
keys.
fun.
Then from there, Mike and Eleven and Max, they go to the entrance of the mall. They see Billy. He's there. And then they go through the back entrance again. Then Billy catches up with them in the hallway. And then Max is like, your name is Billy. Like, you live on this road. Like, it's me. It's Max. And then he just punches her. And
I
then
thought it was brutal how he was like just beating these kids up, and I was like,
oh yeah, and then he like
gosh.
slams Mike against a wall, and then like that one
He knocks them
shot
all
he does,
out.
so brutal, and it's just
This
he takes
season,
11.
It was brutal, and I love
and
it.
like it's actually
it has
willing
balls
to.
of steel.
It's actually willing to go there, and I was like, all right, this works. I like this. They're not completely playing it safe like most people would assume. Billy takes 11 and he puts her like at like the center of like the food court area, and then the monster kind of like gets a weird arm out of its mouth, and then it's like about to grab 11. Then boom, a firework, and then Lucas's fireworks saved them. Freaking
like
eat your words,
episode.
Max. Everybody's like throwing the fireworks at the mind flayer. It's a really awesome scene. It's just so awesome, the scope of everything.
It did a good job of building the scope each season.
At that point, Hopper and Joyce are like in the main control room thing, and then the Terminator shows up as they're about to turn the keys. And then of course Terminator shows up and he starts beating the crap out of Hopper. He kind of like throws Joyce around because like she's about to like grab a gun. He kind of like throws her across the room. Then him and Hopper fight, and him and Hopper kind of like fight their way into like the room with like the portal gun thing.
He almost gets his head smashed off by the
by the spinning thing. Yeah,
he hits Terminator Man's face into it, and you can see the blood like squirt out. And I'm like, this is a bold scene.
Okay, their fight is brutal, which again, it's just like it shows just like that they're willing to do this. And then Hopper like grabs his like shoulder, like jams his finger in it, and he goes, "I'll see you in hell." This throws him into I'll see you in hell, boy. and then throws him into the portal drill. Like you were saying, he just explodes and just blood.
Like it doesn't show it like for like it doesn't focus on it or show it for like a long time. But for
it's just like
almost like a second,
it's just like it's just the quick like, and then like the portal drill kind of like malfunctions in a way, and then it brings up this like barrier, and it's like Hopper can't get across, and then while all this is happening, like 11's trying to escape, and then Billy grabs her, and then he's like 7 feet, like the wave was 7 feet, and she gives him all these memories of his mom, and like so much is happening in this scene. Like it cuts from like the 7 feet thing to like them throwing fireworks. They're like, oh, we're almost out, and then Steve's like, Dustin, we're out of time. Dustin's like, close it now, and it's like in slow motion. The mind flayer's about to shoot its like arm at 11's face, probably to like pump whatever, and then like Billy grabs it, and then Mike and Max run in, and then Max sees Billy just get like stabbed and impaled with these mind flayer arm tentacle things.
That was a brutal scene too. We
can't
shut up about how
brutal it is, but it's just crazy. And Max is like, Billy! We get one last shot of Dustin like, close it now, and then we see Joyce and Hopper. They're looking at each other, and then Hopper smiles, and it's just like,
he's not even dead though.
He's not, but still at that point we thought he would. Yeah, and then
until the after credits, we thought he was dead.
Yeah, until like
it was like for a full 10 minutes.
For a full 10 minutes, you had us.
You had us.
Then Joyce closes her eyes, and then just the thing starts exploding, and the gate starts closing, and the mind flayer starts like shaking around and crashing into things.
I think of the part where they destroy the ring, and the Mount Doom starts like erupting.
Yeah. The mind flayer is dead, and it's just like the aftermath scene. You know, Max is like crying, like Billy's like, I'm sorry. Everybody's sort of looking at the dead mind flayer and everything, and then Joyce goes into the room where the drill was. Hopper's gone. Murray's like, where's Jim and everything. Then like the Russians start coming back, so they have to leave. I love this
a bit of an emotional scene.
Oh yeah,
before they have to leave.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I love this shot where Dustin and Erica, like Dustin looks back and then he sees all the helicopters going towards the mall.
You couldn't have been here like 30
You could have been here like 10 minutes. Yeah.
A freaking monster.
What we called you like a day ago.
Oh my gosh.
You know, aftermath scene, Dr. Owens from season 2, he has a quick little cameo.
Oh yeah.
I guess kind of cameo.
Interested. He was like, oh.
He had this look on his face whenever he went into the room where the gate was.
Something?
Like, yeah, like he had that kind of look where like I feel like there's definitely more from it. Like we haven't seen the last of like his character. Like he had like that look where like, it seemed like there was something else there. I don't know.
I
I
hope
don't
that
know.
he's involved in the next
And
season in some way.
then we have a scene which like I was just so like, oh, like whenever like Joyce sees Will and then they run out and they start hugging and then you see 11.
You see 11 and she's
it's like,
looking.
oh,
Dude, that
and
part
she's looking
got
around.
me.
It got me.
And then she's
so
just
hard.
like, she knows
Even
what happened.
Even rewatching it, I was like tearing up, and it's so
I was tearing up. I had
sad.
goosebumps.
11's just like she knows what happened to Hopper. Then fade to black.
Oh my gosh,
3 months later, and then we get a news report like "Welcome to Hawkins, Indiana." Another thing that I was like, Hopper could be alive because of this hint. If you remember, the news station thing is called Cutting Edge, right?
Mhm.
In episode 2, I think, whenever Flo gets Hopper like his shirt, his button-down shirt or whatever. One of the
Edge.
Yeah, one of the cops goes like, "That's a lot of color for you, Chief." He goes, "This is cutting edge stuff." Cutting edge. And I was like,
That is such a subtle nod.
I didn't want to be like, he's alive because of this, but I was like,
I was one of those people who's, this is epic.
I'm not even gonna get into that guy's voice.
Just do his voice real quick and say it.
There's a hint that proves that Hopper could be alive in Stranger Things season 4. Now this is epic. So then we cut to Steve and Robin. I love that they're both getting jobs at a video store. That's going to be such a great opportunity for so many references, that video store, just like to different movies and everything. So Keith, which
he's like, what's your favorite movie?
I love that they brought him back for such a small thing, like the manager at the video store when he worked at the arcade too. He's like, 3 favorite movies, go. Robin names her 3 favorite movies, and then he's like, you go. And Steve's Star Wars, A New Hope. He's like, A New what? It's just like, which Star Wars? The one with the teddy bears dying.
Oh my gosh.
What
was the other movies he said?
He
Back
said
to the Future.
Star Wars. He said, I don't think he said a third one. He was like, oh, and that movie that came out, the one with like the DeLorean and like Alex P. Keaton's trying to bang his mom.
Oh my God.
Then Robin kind of gives him a talk. He's like, he is a total chip magnet. Like, these ladies are so hot. And they're like, they will come in just
she seems so like passionate about it.
I love the line. She's like,
the ladies will come in just to see him. They'll come in droves. Droves, Keith. We sold so much ice cream, they had to get a second shipment in from Michigan. Goddamn Michigan, Keith.
Oh my gosh. So then
I've never talked to a woman before.
Oh my god.
This is why we make movie reviews.
This is why we're doing this, everybody. This isn't even for an audience. This is for us. Presumably Steve gets hired. Then we cut to the Byers moving out. We have a very funny scene where Lucas and Max are like making fun of Dustin, like, turn around, look at what you see. Max is like, did we get that line right? Is it unfold behind the clouds? He's like, yeah, but you're butchering it, so could you please stop? It's reserved for Susie and Susie's ears alone. And then like Lucas looks at her for like a second, and then it's like,
starts to
turn around.
You guys are so funny. You should be on Carson.
Can't we just hear your rendition?
No.
Please, just one verse.
No. No way. It's reserved for Susie's ears and Susie's ears alone. Turn around. Look at what you see in their face. The mirror.
What makes it even funnier to me is that Max was like unconscious, I don't think at that point she's unconscious. I don't know. She didn't hear any of the never-ending story stuff, so I just find it funny that Lucas and the others like explained to them like that Dustin was singing the song.
Yeah, she didn't. Oh my god.
It's just funnier that way that she's just like, really, and then she just starts singing it again.
Oh my gosh.
So then we have a little scene between Mike and Will. He's putting another thing that shows that Will is like moving on and everything. He's putting the Dungeons and Dragons stuff in the donations box. Mike's like, whoa, that's the donations box. Like, what if you want to join another party?
He's like,
it's like not possible. So I'm like, so you're not gonna make any friends whenever you move.
It's like, screw friends.
Screw friends. What if you want to join another party? Not possible.
Oh my gosh.
We have a scene with Jonathan and Nancy, which for some reason it got me a lot more emotional this time around. Wherever Jonathan's like, 18 years of my life packed up in one day, and then like they're kind of like. They're having their little conversation. It's like about like missing each other, and it's like, as someone once said, we had shared trauma. Like, what's a little more? And it's like, oh my god. Mike and 11 have a small scene. 11 tries to use her powers. They don't work. Mike's like, they'll come back. And then
I know it.
I
Cap.
know they will. Cap? How
Stop
do
the
you know?
cap.
11's like, remember what you were saying in the cabin? It's like, oh, yeah, that was just heat of the moment stuff. She's like, Mike, I love you too. And then they kiss, and it's like, oh my gosh. They also set up a thing where he goes like, oh yeah, I got the okay. I'll be there for like Christmas or something, or Thanksgiving.
I'm
and
like, yes, they're
which
gonna.
I'm like, okay, is that how it's gonna work? That's probably how the plot is gonna work with the kids, like them visiting for either Christmas or Thanksgiving. So little hint at that. Oh my gosh. So then the scene, Joyce is like has like a box for Hopper. She has like his shirt, his like sheriff shirt. And
Oh yeah,
she
she's
pulls
reading
out the
out.
letter, and she's like, oh, because and then so 11 comes in, and she's like, oh, do I put this in the donations box? She has like a stuffed bear or something, and then he's like, what is that? It's like, oh, it's the talk to talk that Hopper's gonna give you. She's like, talk to talk. It's like, he never talked to you guys, did he? She's like, no. And it's like, 11's like, can I read it? And she's like, it just cuts to 11 in an empty room, and then it is Hopper reading the letter. And
narrating, yeah.
Dude, that scene, the first time I watch it and anytime I watch it, that scene breaks me so.
It's
like
such
that is the
a
only
good
thing
scene.
to make me cry in the like. I think I've only cried in the show in season 1, not all the time, but like sometimes. I cried the first time in season 1, and then I cry at this ending part. It's so emotional. Okay, so he gives this speech. He's like, I know this is a difficult conversation, but like I care about you both very much. And then he starts talking about his feelings and everything. And he's like, I've been stuck in this one place. Like you might see a cave, like a deep dark cave, and then like it has like shots of like everybody hugging and like them packing up and everything and moving, and the music that's playing. It's so like
he's basically like, you got me out of the cave.
Yeah, it's like I started to feel things again and everything, and it's like I started to feel happy. I started to feel distant from you recently. And then he's like, I know you're getting older and changing.
I don't like change.
I don't like change, like, but I guess that's why I'm here, to turn back the clock, to make things go back to how they were. And then you have like a shot of like Mike hugging his mom, and like you see them all driving away, and like Will and everybody, they're all crying when they're hugging, and it's just so sad. And he's like, there's a line, he's like,
make mistakes, learn from them, and when life hurts you, because it will, remember the hurt. The hurt is good. It means you're out of that cave. But please, if you don't mind, for the sake of your poor old dad, keep the door open 3 inches.
Keep the door open 3 inches. And I was like, I the first time I watched that, I was crying so hard. I was like, I love this show so much. And it's just such an emotional moment. And then they leave, and then the season ends them with Joyce looking at the house one last time, closing the door. Heroes by Peter Gabriel plays. We can be heroes just for one day. And then fades to black.
Gosh.
And that's it.
Oh, we got to talk about the after credits.
Well, yeah, but like before we do,
okay, yeah,
how
this is
how
too
do you react?
significant.
How do you react to this scene? Because I cry every time.
It was one of those times where I was just like, it hit different, you know. Like it was one of those times where I was just like, I couldn't like just hide the fact that it was so good, but it was so sad. Like, I was like, this is why I love this show.
Yeah, exactly. Whenever I rewatched it, like this time I was crying too. Again, not as hard as the first time, because the first time I watched it, obviously the first time you're ever watching it, it's unexpected. You don't know.
Yeah.
But like this scene, like this time I rewatched it, I was crying again, and I was just realizing like this proves that how much I really give a crap about these characters. Is that like I'm at this point where I'm just crying watching it. I like it for that because it actually shows that I care about what's happening. So yeah, that scene, crazy emotional, probably like one of the most emotional moments in the show. This is such a sad, I mean, it's not the ending, but like as a sad way to end the season.
That's why,
and like
my mom and you were saying like it could have ended like here or whatever, and I was like, no.
Yeah, which like I really part of me really wished it ended there until that after credits scene that comes up like 15 seconds after the screen fades to black, and then it's like I forget the specific place, but it's like something Russia, and then like
not the American
prison. Yeah, not the American, freaking Hopper.
And that's obviously Hopper.
Literally earlier in the episode, the Terminator guy goes, the American. he was
Yeah.
here. It's like, that can't be. I mean, obviously it's Hopper because he's alive, but like, it couldn't have been anyone but Hopper. So anyway, so yeah, not the American. They take out some random guy, which I
Imagine
wonder
if they killed
what-
him in the after credits. I would have raged. I would have
if that was
thrown
Hopper's
something.
death scene, oh my gosh.
Not even an
That would be-
emotional thing. Oh my god.
That would be such like an FU moment to the fans. Just like,
There's
he's
no way
alive,
they do that.
but he's getting. They would never do that.
It's
so
like, oh, he
this
didn't
guy,
die the way you thought. He's just gonna die.
He's just gonna die right here. So then the random guy that they pull out of the jail cell, prison, whatever, they take him down like a flight of stairs and they take him into like this room. He's like, no, please, I'm innocent. He says like, I'm innocent, I think, which makes me wonder why he was being fed to a Demogorgon. So then they open up a thing and then the Demogorgon comes
Maybe
out,
for
which I was like,
leaking information. I don't know.
so I was like, oh my gosh, the Demogorgon, it's back. And then the season officially ends. I always love it whenever like they did this in all seasons, but like in season 2 and in this one where like the Demogorgon like roars and then it lunges at the camera and then it's like Stranger Things 3 and it's like, that's it. It's just
and
so
then it
cool.
fades out for the rest of the credits.
Reach the stars via fantasy.
So that's Stranger Things 3.
Season 3.
It
the
only took
best
us
one.
4 hours.
Did it really?
This is a 4-hour recording.
Have fun editing
I'm
this.
gonna edit this like a champ.
This is probably
going to
be like a 2-hour video.
I could probably split this in half, honestly.
Actually, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Split it.
If it turns out to be crazy long, then yeah, I'm splitting this in half. Anyway, thank you guys for watching our review of
We need to
Stranger
rate
Things season 3. We're gonna rate them. I have my rating set.
I need to think about mine.
I don't know if I'm being too nice. 3,
3,
2, 1.
9.5.
A 10 for me. Just a 10. I don't care. I'm not changing it. A 10. A 10.
Big freaky.
All right. Thank you guys for watching this video. This is a long one.
I'm tired. I'm gonna sleep very well
I'm tired
tonight.
too. Yeah.
This morning, I mean.
I'm just imagining our season 2 and 1 review but for those of you who don't know, we're recording season 3 first because why the freak
Yes, I just finished
not?
rewatching.
We just rewatching
today.
it. Yeah, and same with me. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.
Peace out. Stay movie mentality.
And also,
he's here.
Oh my god.